Hi, you've just bought your new camera, but you can't afford a microphone. What are you going to do? My name's Ian, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series of videos just for beginners on YouTube, or beginners making videos, but specifically aimed at producing a reasonable audio. We're not talking about, BBC broadcast audio, but how to actually improve your audio and make it sound a little bit better on film than you would normally get. When you show these films to your family and the sound comes up, everyone looks at it and is wowed by it, especially if you've got good editing skills on your editor. I'm going to say one thing. On your editor, you do need something. You need to be able to EQ your microphones or sounds if you can, so you need an equalizer. You also will need something that boosts the audio, which is called normalize, to get the audio louder. And even better, if you understand this one, is try and get yourself some kind of compressor, and what that does is that it looks at your audio and takes down the top and makes everything louder by boosting the average sound that you hear. So an equalizer, a compressor and a normalizer on your editing software, if you have it. What I do is I use a separate editing software for my audio, and that audio software is actually linked into my video editor, so I can just click on the audio and it sends me straight to the editor to patch up my audio. But I'm going to give you a few tips and hints as to how to improve the audio. So we're going to start today by just using the camera, no microphone. So we're going to use just the microphones that are on your camera. I'm not talking about any specific camera, just get the camera and we're going to just make a film using the audio from there and not a microphone. So that saves you a bit of money, doesn't it? Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is test the microphone on the camera. So basically you don't need a picture, although you will probably want to test the picture first when you get the camera, but take the camera to outside and inside and test it. I'm going to show you what sort of test I did and about this camera. The one I'm using, by the way, at the moment is a very cheap Sony one. It's the cheapest one they do. So I took it outside and did a quick audio test. This is the test in the same position, but I'm now about 30 feet away speaking in a normal voice. This is an audio test with the camera outside, bit of background noise behind the camera, and I'm about arm's length away. This is the sound of the camera when I'm speaking into it from a very close proximity. So we've got noise in the background, and I'm about 9 inches or so from the microphone. This is a test for how it picks up ambience and testing the automatic gain control. Okay, now from that test it's pretty obvious that first of all my mic produces a lot of hiss on my camera, so that's a problem. And the second thing is it actually does produce an awful lot of that background noise. Believe it or not, that background noise is behind the camera, so the camera has Omni microphones on it, which is a bit of a nuisance, to be honest. It picks up from the back quite well. The third thing I got from that was that without a doubt, and this is common to most microphones, I sound much better when I'm close to the camera speaking rather than further away. So you're going to have to limit your shots to suit the type of camera that you're using. In other words, if you're going to speak, make sure you're close to the camera. And if you want to show scenery, then don't speak so much, or speak from close to the camera. Okay, first things first. So what I've done is I've done a test with my microphone out in the garden just to see how the automatic gain and how the microphone works in practice. And as no surprise, get the microphone close to you and you're going to get much better audio. Because the microphone needs to be pretty close to me because it's an omnidirectional, we've got noise in the background here, I've found a quiet spot and I'm filming close up. And as long as you film close up, you're going to get better audio. I'm using a selfie stick that's quite solid to hold the camera still, but I've not extended it too far, and if I want to get scenery in with me, that's not going to be easy without compromising the audio. So what I'm going to do is I'll take shots of the scenery with no audio and superimpose them over my speech. So as you can see, the results when you keep that camera close are not too bad. There's still a little bit of background noise there, but there's not a lot you can do about that when you're using an omnidirectional microphone. The hiss is still there, and I haven't taken any hiss out, but the noise of the traffic is kind of intermingled, so I didn't worry too much about that. Okay, now we're going to go on to the white balance. The white balance is a tricky thing to manage with a camera. And I knew out there I was going to be going from the sun to the shade, and the white balance might slightly change from one to the other. So I had two settings on my camera. I can set my own white balance or a daylight balance or whatever, and I can also set an auto white balance. Now, the only thing I don't like about auto white balance is that if you go from shade to sun to shade, the white balance can change on your film and you can't easily fix that. So it's better to fix the white balance at one place in a lot of cases. So I set auto up for sunlight, and then later on, if I needed to, I'd color correct that. And for the shadows, I'd already taken a white balance and made a custom white balance and went to my manual setting if I was in the shade. That way I had two settings, one for sun, one for shade, and if in doubt, just go back to that auto and hope for the best. So I've set the camera now on two settings. I've got two settings. I've got a white balance set on auto for when I'm in the sun, and I set it to auto, and then basically what I do with this camera, because I know the camera actually, is I just basically look at the picture at auto and take it down a little bit on a manual setting, so to make sure that nothing is overexposed or blown out. And I took a white balance at home in the shade, so the white balance can just go over to the custom setting when I'm in the shade, as I am now. That way you've got two settings to use that are going to give you hopefully a good exposure. Keeping this thing close and making sure that the sound is as clear and close as possible, so that you don't pick up that dreaded camera noise and the hiss and all the other stuff around. You know, it's not good. In a lot of our videos, what we'll want is shots of ourselves, of course. So for that, I used a selfie stick, as I mentioned. I used quite a strong one because I've got quite a large camera on the end there. And we want scenery shots. Now, it's very tempting to put someone in the scenery, stand them out there, say 10, 20 feet away, and let them talk. Now, in this case, the microphone isn't good enough to be able to do that. So personally, I would avoid those kinds of shots. And I try to alternate between headshots close up, headshots of other people close up, scenery shots where I'm talking from behind the camera because I'm close to the camera, and basically switch between the shots rather than plant people 10, 15 feet away and just get dreadful audio. There's nothing to stop you taking pictures as you're walking and talking behind the camera, but what you want to do is make sure that you've checked the camera to make sure it doesn't go too bassy from the rear. Although they're omnidirectional, sometimes just the body of the camera can cause the thing to sound a bit muffled in comparison to the front speech. Something I need to say about selfie sticks is it does pay to try and get yourself not only a lightweight one, but one that's a little bit heftier, which is why I use this GoPro one, because I can basically use it also as a monopod to make sure that shots are really, really stable. I mean, these kind of shots aren't too good if you can't keep the camera still. So I guess basically what I'm saying is look at your camera, test out the microphone, see what it's capable of. Try to avoid anything mechanical on the camera itself, like the zoom. With manual focus, you're fine, it'll be stuck and that it won't move. But if you're using autofocus, some cameras make a bit of a chattering noise, which the microphones will pick up. So test that out, and if it does happen, then you just need to keep still. But find out the weaknesses of your system and work to those weaknesses, and don't try to push it any further than that. And that way you'll end up with a video that looks and sounds, more importantly, a little bit nicer than maybe if you just go chucking the thing around and taking whatever you see. I hope this video was useful to you. This was basically aimed at beginners, people who have just bought a camera and want to use it, want to get a picture, but want to improve the sound, because the one thing about these cameras, if they haven't got an audio input, the sound can be a little bit rough. future videos, I'm going to go on to other techniques and other microphones to use in order to get the audio even better. Really, the best camera to buy is one that has an audio input of some sort. But if you've got to rely on the audio in your camera, then so be it. I'm just trying to show you some ways of improving that if possible. So this audio on my videos hasn't been exemplary audio. It's actually been examples of how to use the camera to try and get the best audio from what you have, so you don't have to spend a load more money on a microphone. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please come back for the next episode, episode 2, when I'll show you how to improve it a little bit more, even without a microphone. Cheers for now.